What's up, guys? Julian here, and what follows this little intro video is, of course, my interview with Todd Anderson, just like the title says, and it was awesome. He's so cool, he's so smart, and he's funny, and like, man, it sounds like I have a crush on him now, but he's an awesome guy. He was awesome. I just wanted to preface this by apologizing. I don't know if you remember my last video, about halfway through, a little bit less than halfway through, my camera cut out with my interview with Ruben Bressler. And since then, I've been battling with my camera and my computer a little bit, and that's why I really haven't put out dailies. And then I thought I had it fixed with Todd Anderson. I thought it was ready to go, but turns out I didn't record any of the video of me. It got Todd Anderson just great, but didn't get a single second of me. Took the computer to the Apple Store, got everything fixed. We're back in business, and I'm recording right now with the program, and it's working just great. I don't know, it was complicated. Anyway, I just want to apologize for that. Sorry for not putting out dailies. I've been fighting with that camera and stuff, but it's good now. And I hope you enjoy the video. I have been brewing Ravnica like crazy. I have 2 decks that I'm going to go tomorrow and test with a bunch and just see kind of how they go. I won't tell you anything about them until I know how they go. But anyway, I love you guys so much, and I really hope you enjoy the interview, okay? Peace. What's up, guys? This is Julian, and I have my 3rd interviewee for the channel, and I'm super excited because this is Todd Anderson. What's up, Todd?
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Dude, I'm super excited for this one. Oh man, you're awesome. Like,
oh well, thanks.
I've been in Magic for like maybe a year and a half now, so not as long as a lot of people. But I've known about you since like, I mean, for like almost the whole time basically. I mean, I've kind of been watching you play, especially when you started coming out with the mono green decks about 6-8 months ago. The Dungrove.
Yeah, Dungervolder was my jam.
Yeah, right? And seriously. And so it's really cool to have you on. I really appreciate you having you here.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
So I thought maybe we could start by kind of going back a little bit and talking about how you first kind of got into Magic and what your life was like before now-ish.
Sure.
So how did you first start all of this Magic stuff?
So about, I want to say 12 years, but honestly, it's been a long time. One of my friends who I grew up with, we used to play video games and stuff all the time, and you know, moving back and forth, we always kept in touch. And one time when I came back home to visit, he's showed me this card game that he had started playing, which was Magic. And so I got really into it because, we were very much nerds. Like, we loved all things dragons and angels and elves and all that other junk. So when he showed me Magic, it was just like instant click. And that's where I started. And, I played like kitchen table type stuff for about 2 to 3 years because, as I said, when I was moving back and forth, I was living with my dad, and we lived in the middle of absolutely nowhere in Georgia, and I had to play Magic against myself.
Who won?
Yeah, so yeah, that was how I practiced my my casual decks. I just like built 2 decks out of my cards and battled them against each other. So it kind of sucked if like I wanted to build 2 different decks and fight them against each other, and they needed the same card because I only had like a very limited card pool. So, but that's how I started. It was a lot of fun. In the beginning, but there were a lot of down points for me, and I almost quit a few times because I didn't have anybody to play with. But it was always, I want to say magical, but that sounds really stupid.
Aww.
Like just when I came back to town and like visited my friends and stuff, we would always play, so it was always worth it. So
that's awesome. That's really cool. And what about leading more into your your professional life? How did that kind of start and moving in with Star City?
Well, I've been going to like PTQs for a very long time, probably much earlier than I probably should have. Although I did win a PTQ back in 2005, and I went to the first Pro Tour Honolulu in 2006. Although I didn't really know anybody, I didn't have a testing group. I just sort of had to wing it. And when I got there, I met a few really cool people like Irvin Tormos, and they helped me get my cards for my deck. And then moving forward after that, I didn't really qualify for the Pro Tour for a few years after that because I didn't do well at that Pro Tour. And I won states. That was like my next big accomplishment. I'm trying to get this in big accomplishment. And that was when
absolutely.
Yeah, well, that was the first year where they started doing free entry fees into like PTQs and stuff around the United States, and so that sort of shouted me into wanting to go to all these tournaments, these PTQs, and sometimes Grand Prix. You could play side events for free, like if you got busted out of day one, because
Oh,
the TOs were the same people who ran state. But anyway, so after I won states and I started playing more, I auditioned for Star City Games to write articles because I was an English major. I really liked Magic, and I thought I was much better than I was. And luckily for me, they decided to pick me up because Channel Fireball had kind of started to become bigger, and they took away a few of their select writers and a few of their big name writers, and so they were needing a little bit more content, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and there you go.
that's
So,
awesome. That's really cool. And now is Star City, is that kind of your 9 to 5 how you make your income, or do you also have a job along with all this Magic stuff?
I tried doing like a part time job in addition to all the stuff, the Magic playing that I do, but um, right now I don't have a 9 to 5 or anything like that. I do 3 pieces of content a week for Star
Yeah,
City,
a
which
lot.
is a lot, and it's making enough. I'll say that, but it's I probably should try to find some secondary income, but every job that's part time, they always want weekend help, and that just means I'll never get to play Magic on the weekends, which is how I get all my practice and why I can make 3 videos a week. Because if I never
Yeah.
travel, if I never play, I'll just never be able to do anything. So, but I mean, we live comfortably. Callie works for Star City Games as well. That's my wife, for those of you who don't know, and we get by. And we don't really penny pinch or anything like that. So,
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, it's really good that you're able to do that because I know some Magic players and in other scenes like in StarCraft or in League of Legends, some are not able to do that. They have to work a bunch, kind of like me, and so we're not able to put everything we can into the content. And you can really tell the people who are able to do that, and it makes it a lot better. It makes
yeah.
it. Yeah, it's really awesome. What about like in your future? Do you see yourself staying with Magic for a long time, like Mike Flores type of person who's going to do it for the next 20 years, or?
I mean, I would very much like to be involved in Magic like 10 to 20 years from now. I would still like to be writing articles and influencing things. And if that's how it ends up working out, that'll be basically my dream because I'll
Awesome.
have done exactly what I've wanted to do for a substantial amount of time. Like I've been writing for 3 years now, and I already feel like an old man. So by the time I hit like the 10 year mark, or 15 or 20, then I think I'll be able to look back and really appreciate what I've done. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't quite have the repertoire of like a Mike Flores, and I don't have the capacity to write like a Patrick Chapin, but I do produce what I think is quality content
Yeah.
every week as best as I can, and people seem to like it. So I hope to keep gaining followers and making good content for people to watch. So
So from what I've noticed from your articles, you seem to have every week like a written article, like a texting, like your Delver one for this week, and then you also do like your I can't remember his name. Your playtesting videos. I can't remember who you
yeah,
play. What's his name?
Brian Brown
Yeah,
Dua,
yeah, yeah, yeah. BBD, right? Yeah. And
yeah,
then you also
BBD.
do like a recorded like a moto video as well. Do you have
Yep.
one that's like your favorite, or the one you look forward to doing most every week, or is it all
Well,
just awesome?
the playtesting videos are filmed at Star City Games, which is really awesome because they have a studio set up, and I get to play Magic with Brian, who's a friend of mine,
Hmm.
BBD. And right now, that's currently my favorite, but it is a lot more work than the other two because I have to go in. We have to have all these people setting up video stuff and like a director, and me and BBD have to like get our decks together. So whenever we play like Legacy or Mod, it takes like an hour or so to get cards from like the inventory to play with and all this other stuff. So it is a lot more tedious, but I think the reward is pretty awesome, especially for the viewers because I mean, from at least what I've seen in the comments and people who've been watching, it's really helpful.
Yes.
Our commenting during the matches is, they give people sort of like a pick at my brain while I'm playing, and so like if I'm playing Delver and I like ponder and I see like spell land, but those even though it's spell land like one of those spells is worthless,
Hmm.
and the land is probably worthless too, depending on like what point in the game or whatever. And like a lot of people just will see 2 land spell snap keep because that's like. But when you're digging specifically for certain cards or whatever, there's just a lot of different thought processes involved. And play videos, as well as the Magic on Limb videos, but I really like the playtesting videos because they allow us to uh, I don't know the word I'm looking for. They allow us to showcase, like higher thought
Sure,
processes.
right.
Sorry, but a lot of people like they'll not see a certain play, or they won't make a certain line, and I think that having me and Brian play, that it helps a lot of people. So.
Absolutely, I'm included in those people. That you guys have definitely helped out a lot. I've improved a lot watching yours and watching the Jerry versus Brad. Like I like those types of videos. Just a live watching it play. It's just awesome, and it's really neat. Especially great because you don't have to go to Magic Online where sometimes you play against people where you're just kind of like, oh, what are you doing? Like, and that's fine. I mean, usually it doesn't happen on the videos, but I really appreciate the kind of videos you're making with BBD. It's awesome. So now,
Thanks.
I don't know if you had time to check out the channel at all, but my YouTube channel is kind of for players who are right at about my level, which is like
Mhm.
I've moneyed a couple of Star Cities and like I've top eighted PTQs, but I just can't get to that next level, to win a PTQ or to top eight the Star City or top eight a Grand Prix. Now, do you have any? I know it's kind of a general question, but like advice for a player like that who's just trying to get to the next level?
I will say that I was at that level for approximately 1 billion years, and it took me personally a long time to get over that hump. And but then once I hit that hump about 2 years ago, I was able to just like win a PTQ pretty much every season for the last couple seasons, and I didn't win one for Seattle, so I'm not qualified for Seattle,
Mm.
unfortunately. But honestly, my biggest improvement came when I started playing more Magic Online. And I think that that's one resource that people know that they have access to, but either they refuse to use it or they decide consciously not to use it for financial reasons or whatever. And I think that that's a very big mistake if you want to become like a higher level player. Like Magic Online, it doesn't encourage the higher level plays or like the higher level thinking capacities,
Hmm.
but it makes your mechanical game phenomenal. Like you see every step, you know how priority works exactly. You know when you need to maintain priority to like do stuff, and that's something that people who play live Magic just will never fully grasp until they either caught it, through like some huge mistake they've made, or they play Magic Online. And it's weird to see someone play Magic Online for the first time who's kind of like a PTQ type player who mostly plays FNM, and then they're just like, what's all this stuff? Like this, there's like so much stuff that just kind of goes on behind the scenes when you're playing a game of Magic, that people just, they're blown away when they see everything. So Magic Online is definitely the biggest tool, but I think that my favorite uh, method of trying to help people break through is telling them that you should never copy a deck list from the internet card for card, like
Interesting.
ever.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever you take a deck to a tournament, and I talk about this in my article this week, and I hope that people will read it. But uh, basically, any tournament you go to, you're going to face off against a different field. Like it's never going to be the same percentage of each deck that you're going to be facing against, which means that even though you're making more of an educated guess, you can take all the information from recent tournaments. You can take all of the recent additions to deck lists, and you can extrapolate all that information and make these deck building decisions for yourself. Like this past weekend, I took a Geist deck, a Delver Geist deck, and instead of playing Restoration Angel and Runechanter's Pike, I wanted to beat the Mirror, and I knew that all of the best players in the room would be playing Delver, and so I just cut Runechanter's Pike and Restoration Angel for Talrand's and Mental Missteps main deck. And I just like crushed the mirror. It like wasn't hard. Like
Yeah.
Talrand is just a complete beating.
Yeah.
But I mean that's just like a very small example. You have to know the field you're going to be playing against, and if you are, I mean, this is obviously only constructed as far as breaking through,
Hmm.
but you have to make changes to the decks that are popular in order to have an advantage over the other players because they're all using that same deck. Whereas if you take that deck and you make that deck better against the decks that you're planning on playing against, then that's really where you gain like the small edges, and that can be the difference between losing in the quarterfinals and winning the PTQ. So
Awesome. Now I'm going to go a little more specific into this because when you say to know like the meta or to know what you're going into in the field, like as you specifically, do you just kind of have a good feeling and know what's going to happen, or do you actually go and scout before the tournament starts?
I never get up and scout the room. I think that's a trap.
Yeah, because
People,
at Denver, like I was with some buddies and they were like, "Dude, let's go scout the room. Let's walk around." So I'm like walking around. I see everything, and I
yeah,
sit down and they're like,
you
"What'd you
always
see?"
you
And I'm
always
like,
see everything. Yeah,
"Everything."
yeah, but don't ever scan a particular room.
Okay.
I mean, because obviously you're never going to see all the decks. You're probably only going to see maybe 5 to 10 people out of 2 to 400, depending on what kind of event you're going to. And honestly, it just doesn't help, and it could end up actually hurting you if you get a skewed viewpoint of what you think you're going to be playing against. Like, I went to a Star City Open a few months ago, and a friend of mine was walking around scouting, and he came back and said, "Oh, there's like 10 people playing Wolf Run Ramp." I was like, okay. I mean, there's always at least like 10 people playing Wolf Run Ramp. Like, who cares? And so he changed some cards in his deck, and I just didn't because I knew that like not only will like changing a few cards in order to try to beat that deck not help you more often than not, because not only will you like have to draw the cards that you're changing, you'll also have to play against Wolf Run, and you'll have to draw them in a situation where they'd be like good. So like changing your deck significantly to fight off like an extra 2% of players or something is just not worth it. And just the way that I always prepare for tournaments is I will play on Magic Online and I'll just play and play and play. And then before the tournament, I'll just try to recall how certain matchups went, what I think is going to be popular, and it could be a regional thing like for Legacy, or it could just be like what's the flavor of the week or flavor of the month, and just make those changes to your deck based on what you think you're going to be playing against, based on just the information that you've gathered from playing and scouring the internet. So
Awesome. That is. I mean, that is awesome stuff right there. I'm gonna start trying to put that more into effect, especially playing Moto. I don't play Moto as often. I draft every now and then, but I
yeah,
haven't.
drafting is a huge trap. Like it's a lot of fun and it's something to just kill time. But constructed Magic Online is huge for making you a better player, I think. So.
I'm going to start doing that with Ravnica coming out. I'm going to start doing it for reals. I appreciate that. That was awesome. Speaking of Ravnica, by the way, what do you think about Return to Ravnica? I know you probably have articles coming out in deck lists, but I know, right?
I am really excited, man. I've seen all these awesome new abilities and awesome cards, and honestly, I just can't wait to play it. I saw. I think my favorite card so far, which is kind of weird, is Mizium Mortars. That's the
Yeah.
2 mana deal 4 to a creature with Overload. Like my only problem with Bonfire of the Damned has been that it doesn't kill a good creature early in the game. Like you can't kill a Restoration Angel with a Bonfire very easily. And this is like a more controlled version of Bonfire. Like it doesn't hit the player, but the fact that you can like Snapcaster Mage it and kill another guy, or when you just hit 6 mana, you just get the one-sided Wrath the opponent. Like that card is ridiculous. So
Awesome. And what other cards? What are you thinking about once Ravnica comes out? Do you have any decks you're leaning towards, or archetypes, I should say?
I mean, obviously, I'm going to start by trying to make a Delver deck, I think. Blue-red specifically, since we have 2 extra dual lands now.
Yeah.
We have Steam Vents and the Guild Gate. I'm not sure how much play the Guild Gate's going to get, but at the very least, it'll be an option, which I like. And then, other than that, I mean, there's not that many cards have been released from Ravnica,
Sure.
to like build decks out of. Me and Brian, we're doing a playtesting video tomorrow, and we're going to be using new cards, even though they'll be proxies, which kind of sucks. But Yeah, I mean, I really like black green. I think that's one of the more pushed archetypes from Return to Ravnica. You know, they have so many powerful zombies from Innistrad block, and now they're just giving us even more zombies from the new set. So I think the zombies will definitely be a huge contender, and I think black green is probably going to be where people start. So
Awesome. I'm really excited for Ravnica as well. Looks like a lot of really
yeah,
really cool stuff coming out.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. What's your favorite guild?
Ah.
I know that you asked the questions, but I'm asking this one.
That's a good question. Someone else asked me that once. I don't know. Like I didn't play it in the original Ravnica, so I don't know a lot of the things behind it. I'll tell you what, my favorite guild probably is Azorius because I started playing Magic and I played Cobblade and now I play Delver. So I just like blue
Well,
white.
I mean, yeah, so yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like I've actually done the same thing, obviously, but uh, I think that either Izzet or Orzhov are my two favorite guilds. Even though they're kind of contradictory, like Izzet's blue red and Orzhov's black white, but yeah, whatever.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that. I like Izzet a lot. I mean I've been looking at a lot of blue white red decks, so I don't know. But like I miss that whole flavor thing, and so it's kind of interesting when people talk about all that, and I kind of sit there in the background like, sure, like that sounds awesome. When they
Yeah,
announced Return to Ravnica, I was excited because I was finally gonna be able to learn the guild names, because that was embarrassing for a while. Because people would be like, "So are you playing like a Boros deck?" And I'm like, "I really don't
I
know what
don't know
that
what that
is." Like,
is.
I'm playing these cards. Is that right? Like,
Yeah,
awesome. Okay, now another question for you. If you
sure.
could take any card from the history of Magic and like just put it into Standard right now, and like play an open with it tomorrow or something, what do you think you would? What do you think you'd bring in? What do you think you'd do?
Okay. Well, I actually was kind of disappointed when I saw Geist Flame printed because Firebolt was actually like one of my all-time favorite cards. And for those of you who don't know what Firebolt is, it's one red, deal two to a creature or player that has flashback for four and a red, but it's a sorcery. But it was basically just like one of the better two for ones printed in a very long time for like more aggressive decks. And when I saw Geist Flame, I was kind of excited, but it ended up kind of not being anywhere close to what I wanted to be. And but like Firebolt for me, like flavorfully would have been awesome for killing like Huntmasters and block. Like, and that was one of like the bigger cards in block constructed was Huntmaster. And in general, I think that Firebolt would have been like a very good value card, and even just like playing Snapcaster Mage to flash it back would have been not terrible and something that you probably would have done a couple times just because you had to. But yeah, no real reason why that card other than I just wish Geist Flame didn't exist. So
So you would just cut Geistland and put Firebolt in.
yeah, that's what they should
That's
have done
cool.
anyway.
All right, I can get behind that. What kind of a deck would you put that in? Just in kind of a mid-rangey kind of. Is there a deck that
Yeah,
exists now? You just
yeah.
slip it in there.
It's definitely a mid-range deck. I mean, if there's any sort of mid-range Huntmaster deck, it definitely goes in there. I mean, it's always been a card that worked well in like a green-red Birds of Paradise base deck, and you want to utilize your mana like every turn, and you also need cheap early removal. And Firebolt just does both of those things. You kill something early, and then you get to utilize your mana late game. And if you start to flood out, you have stuff to do. So that was always my uh, most favorite part of Flashback is that it made flooding out feel like not as bad.
Awesome. That's cool. That's cool. I like that a lot. I'm really surprised by the answers I get because it's not. I was expecting people to say like kind of dumb like power cards or like just these old school. But like Jerry Thompson said Goblin Guide and you said Firebolt and like it's cool. Like you guys make me think in ways I hadn't thought of before. Just how little cards. Well, because like not little, but just cards that aren't super overpowered over the top, but they could really make a big difference. And
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's cool.
Specifically with the Return to Ravnica, I would very much like to have seen something like Wild Nikado or Loam Line get reprinted in Standard because I never really saw a Standard format where Wild Nikado was good, and I think that with the Shocklands it very much could have been. And I was a big Zoo player back in Standard when you had Kurt Ape and like Scab Clay Mauler and Watch Wolf and those kind of guys. And I think it would have been cool to see having Wild Nikado see if it was ban worthy and standard, But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's true. That's cool. All right, I got another question for you that's not on the list. So I know there are a lot of people who look at you and who look at the guys on Star City or on Channel Fireball, and like their biggest dream in life is just like, man, I want to be like Todd Anderson. I just want to be that person in a sense.
Don't be like me.
Okay. Well, at least in the magic sense, right?
Oh, sure.
So what do you say to those kind of people who right now are just watching this video going, man, I wish I could be him. Like, I wish I could do this kind of stuff. What do you think
I mean, I've written a lot about that kind of thing, and I did have a hugely controversial article that I wrote last year when I made the conscious decision to quit the job that I had at the time and to just try to play Magic full time. And people complained that I was like glorifying being irresponsible, and I can't honestly say that I feel like I made a bad decision, although if I influenced others to make a bad decision, it was not my intention. And it's something that's it goes a little deeper because people get inspired by that kind of stuff, and it's really hard. People don't think it's hard, and then when they try to do it themselves, they see that sure, you can make $1,000 in this one tournament, but then you don't do well for a month, and then it's time to pay rent, and then you're just SOL, and it's not like a steady income. And one of the biggest things I want to tell people that if you're going to try to do something like this, you have to have a secondary source of income other than just Magic tournaments. For me, my secondary source of income is writing. And I write a lot and I do a lot of video content, and that's my supplementary income. And anything I make in tournaments is just icing on the cake. I make not like a ton writing, but it helps with travel, helps with bills, and then anything that I make in a tournament, that's the free money. So
that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, it's good to know because I think some people maybe try and dive heads first, like too much. Like they just try and drop everything and go. I think it's good to.
I agree.
I'm gonna look up that article. I'm gonna link it on the video. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, I'll try to find it for you when we're done. But
absolutely. All right, so now I think we're about time to wrap it up now. Do you have any like shout outs? I got my Star City shirt on, so but any shout outs or any last thoughts you'd like to give before we kind of wrap it up?
Yeah, I actually went to Birmingham past week. It's my hometown in Alabama. And I got to see a lot of my old friends, and I hope that they'll watch this video and see that they helped me have an awesome homecoming. I was there for a little over a week, and I just loved seeing my friends and family, and it was just great for all of them to be there and to make me feel back at home. So that's
awesome. That's cool. Do you have a Twitter or anything you want people to follow you
at? Yeah, you can follow me at strong_sad on Twitter. I also write articles every week on StarCityGames.com. You can check those out. So.
Woohoo! Go Star City. Awesome.
Yeah.
And are you going to the Invitational? I think
I am, yeah,
next
definitely.
Week, 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, it's a week from Saturday, or a week from Friday, actually.
Right, okay. And is that one in Atlanta?
Yeah, that one's going to be the one in Atlanta. The one at the end of the year in like November, December is going to be in Los Angeles, I believe.
And because you write for Star City, even if you didn't qualify through tournament, you're still going to go. Is that right?
Yeah, true. But I also have the most qualifications for invitationals of anyone at an invitational.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's well done.
It was like a running joke with my wife for a while because she's like looking at all the different ways you can qualify, and there was one like for the last invitational, it was like points, level status, rider status, and also like 2 other things which I can't think of off the top of my head, but it was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
So.
That's sweet. Well, I am going to see. I almost said I hope to see you there. I won't be there in Atlanta, but I'll be watching Atlanta. So I hope you do well. I wish you the best of luck with that.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna end this call, man. I appreciate you being on. Have a wonderful day, man.
Yeah, thanks. Peace. Thanks for having me.